passe l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De er i semifinale igjen!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hours Morning Club. It's Chris here with you and a bit of a bumper episode today as we're in the midst of quarter-final madness in the EHF Champions League. First leg of the men's games concluded last night, and the second leg, the decisive games in the Women's Champions League, coming up this weekend. And no better woman to bring on to chat with us about that than Danijela Vekic, who's been covering both competitions over the last couple of weeks for the EHF. We're going to dive into the chat with her first, looking back at the men's games on last night and on Wednesday, then looking forward to the big Women's Champions League quarterfinal second legs coming up on Saturday and Sunday. On Patreon, you might have noticed yesterday, we put up a special blast from the past in our interview with Christina Niagu as we look back at the championships that changed her life. A wonderful interview we had with her back in 2020, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you on Patreon haven't actually heard that before, or if you did, it was broken up into two parts in 2020, but it's here available as one full-length interview, so go and listen to that. And if you're listening to this on the normal feed and just the teaser that we have available for you, the first half of this podcast, then no better time to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/handball hour, as we build up to the business end of this handball season. But enough on that, it's time to talk quarterfinals with Danijela Vekic. Welcome to Danijela Vekic, fresh on a Friday morning after the games last night and looking forward to the weekend's Women's Champions League action. You've had a busy few days, Danijela, so thank you for joining us. How are you feeling after that roller coaster of a first leg?
Well, first, thank you for having me again. Well, handball never disappoints, and I think the last 2 days of EHF Champions League men games really proved it. We had some amazing action and comebacks and really fighting strong from all teams. So I'm really, really happy we get to witness that in action firsthand, that you and me.
Yeah, absolutely. And after Wednesday's games were so tight in the end on the scoreline, we were seeing glimpses of that on Thursday, but in the end with two scorelines that have given us, at least on paper, a team that's in the driving seat. I guess we can start a little bit with where we ended last night with Füchse Berlin against Aalborg. An incredible game, really, which saw a lead for Aalborg stretching to 6 goals after 19 minutes, but in the end, a 14-goal turnaround by the end of it, which over the course of 35-40 minutes of handball is astonishing.
It's unbelievable. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 13-7 for Aalborg, and then everything went Berlin's way. It was like something extraordinary happened, because we saw that Milosavljev wasn't as good as on the goal as he used to be, and then Lasse Ludwig stepped in. He had 3 or 4 saves that really made a turnaround and a boost for Berlin. And of course, in the second half, Matthias Gitzel, who was just out of this world. I think that's one of the best performances he pulled off in Berlin this season. It's just incredible. 11 goals, 9 assists. I mean, I think that everyone was left in awe, especially after that spin shot at the end of the game. So, and we have to mention Milosavljev, who got back to the game, and he saved 4 penalties or 3 penalties. I'm not sure. So it's just incredible game, and Aalborg seemed to have completely stopped in the second half.
Yeah, it's strange. It's like when you think back at the game and think back at what's going through your mind as it happens. And I remember going to a 5 or 6 goal lead for Aalborg and thinking, oh, this could be really dangerous for Berlin just to stay in the contest. And you're like, where are they coming back? Because despite it being such a strong team, they have had a few occasions this season where they have been overrun or completely shut down. I think back to the game against Płock away from home. Even the last home game in the Champions League they had against Kielce, they were really under pressure for the vast majority of that game. But as you said, that Lasse Ludwig introduction was one of the kind of surprise factors. And there were some players who were kind of maybe the second tier of players in this Berlin side who were really stepping up, even to the Vestav Tigam on the wing, even Lucas Herberger coming up with plays, and you're like, okay, maybe there is a bit of hope for this team after all, even if Gietzel, who in the first half was kept under wraps a little bit, he got 3 goals, but it was very much a case of getting them when they were a man up, or really having to go the long way around because he was being kept under wraps by Saugason and Mulgaard.
Yeah, definitely. I think that really showed the strength of Berlin, because when you don't have those players in the spotlight that you usually have, they really stepped up and they made a teamwork effort. And we saw like Andersen is also one of their best players, but in the start he was a bit of undecisive. He had a few mistakes, technical errors. He didn't score as much, but later in the game, everything just fell into place for Berlin.
You said the 20 goal involvements for Gietzel, 11 goals and 9 assists. It is wonderful to see players like that be able to deliver something like that on the big occasions in the quarterfinals. And even despite, I saw RT Handball on Instagram posting a video where they have him in slow motion and maybe taking 5 steps, maybe taking 7 steps, and it goes back to that old discussion that well, how are the referees supposed to see that 0 step, or whether he gets the ball in before with. So I think we can't really take away anything from that, but maybe it's it shows a little bit of the divisiveness of Gietzel, but I think nobody can argue with that second half performance overall.
No, of course. I think that his performance is just out of this world, and no matter the steps or not, he's just an amazing player. And I think that the part with the steps and the referees, it's not just Gietzel, it's so many high-level players in every game. And that's my honest opinion, was like, maybe we need that third referee in handball, because handball became so fast and so unpredictable. It's not the same sport that was 10, 15 years ago. It's just, you're not able to see what's happening in such a short moment of time.
Yeah, I think referees are becoming more and more focused on things that are happening in the upper body, which is understandable, because they get criticized if they don't find that stuff. And maybe a third referee only to look at steps would be an option.
Yeah, I mean, I know that IJF is probably, I think they were testing that, but I really, it's hard to see if you're not really focused on just players' legs, and because you have players that are so fast, it's just incredible.
After the game, Niklas Landin said, comebacks like this are possible in handball. 8-goal comebacks, even Berlin know it in the Champions League in a earlier version of themselves. But it feels like it's going to be really tough against a team like this, and someone like Gietzel, who, him and Andersen coming back home in that sense as the enemy this time. I think they're really going to relish it, and it would, of course, something special is always possible, but it feels like Aalborg are maybe just lacking that little bit, and Thomas Arnoldson, his absence was felt more and more when they struggle to get those easy goals in the second half.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that, as you said, in handball everything is possible, but when you have 6-goal lead and you lose by 8, it's so hard also mentally for the players. And even though you want to get back on track and perform well at home, it's that Fuchs is going to be super motivated for that rematch. And when you said about Gietzel, I saw him yesterday, like every goal scored, not only his, but every goal Berlin scored, he was so happy. He was really passionate about, and I really feel that this means so much to him to go to the Final Four and prove Berlin was the right choice for him at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a real feeling of destiny kind of fulfilling itself in real time here. One team that did manage to pull off a massive comeback in their second leg in the last round was Szeged. Szeged beating PSG away from home. They're going to have to come up with something similarly special just to turn around a 3-goal loss to Barcelona. And here another game which didn't have a 14-goal turnaround, but did have a 6-goal turnaround in the end. Szeged up by 3 during the second half before losing it to Barça almost in an instant.
Yeah, I think that they're just number of turnovers and mistakes really stopped Szeged from maybe doing a surprise at home, because Barcelona is just, they are amazing team, and we all know it, and they are always contenders to the not only Final Four but for the title. So when the game started, when Tulin had this amazing span of saves, he was at 43% at a halftime. Like, the goalkeeper cannot keep up with that save percentage. Something, he will drop maybe to 30, 35, it doesn't matter, but you need to have really focused attack and take every opportunity you have against Barcelona, and Szeged didn't do it. They really had too many mistakes in crucial moments, and I think that's the problem. And when you have Dicamem in the second half, he was amazing. They couldn't stop him, and unfortunately, I don't see if Szeged can make a comeback in the rematch.
I mean, I think back to early in the second half, and when you say those mistakes and not taking their chances, there was a golden opportunity for Szeged. They were 14-11 up, and they had a 2-man advantage, double suspension for Barcelona, and they completely fluffed it. They had 2 very clear chances to extend their lead. It could have made it 16-11, and then you have something really to hold on to, and that might make life a little bit more difficult for Barca to turn things around in that second half, but they couldn't take those chances, and it felt a little bit there like it might have just given Barca like a sniff of a taste of blood there to come back.
It's true. I mean, they were leading up until, I think, the last 10 minutes of the game. I think that Barcelona equalized in 51st minute, something like that. You cannot do that against them, because they are not the team that's used to losing. They're a super strong team. When the game started, I was really hoping Szeged could do something, because I always love when we have interesting games in the Champions League. I always love when it's tight match, and if we have some maybe underdog or someone new at the Final Four. But really, in this pairing, it's just Barcelona showed why they are Barcelona. I think that's just what it is.
And in our preview a few days ago, I mentioned Barca's record in the quarterfinals, and they just make it look so, on paper, always make it look so straightforward in the end. Yeah. I mean, this is probably the closest they've come to losing a game in the quarterfinal, because in the first leg, because they have time and time again just done such a professional job. And even with the maybe a bit of lack of depth in some positions, you can still rely on people like Emil Nielsen to come up and get a mid 35% saving rate.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't. Maybe Nielsen wasn't at his. I mean, he was good also in the first half, but maybe he wasn't, on the level we are all used from him throughout the season. But he really stepped in the second half, and he really showed why he's Emil Nielsen. And we know he doesn't have like a real substitute for him, because we know that Vincent Gerard didn't get it was something with the transfer
license,
the license. So you don't have young Filip Šarić. So yeah, I think that he knew he needed to do something, and he just did what he does the best, and that's it.
Sure did. In our 2 Wednesday games, much tighter in the end. Both of those feel like the Magdeburg-Veszprém game was always destined to be that close, and it feels like it might be the same again next week with Nantes and Sporting. Nantes taking a lead with them into the second leg, but maybe Sporting will feel like it's a fairly good position for them to escape Nantes with just a 1-goal loss. Where do you see those two games, and who do you put as slight favourites now heading into the second leg?
Oh, it's a hard question.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, for Magdeburg-Veszprem, the rematch is in Hungary, and we all know what it means to Veszprem fans to get to the Final Four and probably maybe lifting that trophy that's been missing for such a long time. So I think they're going to have amazing home support, and they're going to burn for that win. But you can never write off Magdeburg because they're a super strong team.
And you don't know if that burning for the win is a good or a bad thing with Veszprem sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes, but yeah. But I really, for the Hungarian fans and everything, I would really love to see Veszprem at the Final Four and just to see another shot of them to take that title. But those two teams have such strong individuals. They play such a great defense. So for me, it's really a beautiful game to watch also because it doesn't maybe have that much goals and it's not, it's more physical. So I don't know what to say. It's really,
penalties.
Yeah, maybe even penalties. It's really hard to see who would really take that advantage. And yeah, it's hard. I think that Veszprem this season feels more confident than usually.
Yeah. They this is going to be the real test for them. That home leg. They have managed to stay in the game and did very well. I thought they would actually take a victory in that one, but Magdeburg showing their unerring class, showing that's permanent as well, but to at least get the draw.
Yeah, and the thing that I think I wrote that in the article is every time when Veszprem played quarterfinals, if they remain unbeaten in the first leg, they always went through. So they always won at home and went to the Final Four. So if history is going to repeat itself,
that's a good omen for them. Absolutely. Yeah. And in the more funky quarterfinal tie in Nantes and Sporting, do you feel like Sporting have done enough now? They've been very impressive at home this season, taking a 1-goal loss from Nantes. It could have been a lot worse for them, though.
That's also the pairing that I don't know what to think about because I think Sporting at home plays amazing this season, and it's really their stronghold because even when people didn't give them chances to win, they did it this season. So I think it's really going to be hard for Nantes. Good thing for Nantes is that Aymeric Min came back after the injury because they had really bad luck with their center backs after his injury. They had 2 other center backs and they all got injured. So it's really good that Min came back, and they have really strong goalkeeper pairing also, Biosca and Pešić. So I think for the French, handball would be great that none goes through because Pešić got eliminated and everything. But for handball story and, for the underdogs, maybe stories of the Final Four, I would also love to see Sporting in Cologne.
Yeah, either way, it's a good story in there. And yeah, I think with both teams getting a big name back, I think they relied a little bit more on Nantes than Sporting relied on Kiko Costa. They have big brother there, Martim, to do the business though. And I'm always, and we'll talk a bit about this in the women's quarterfinals where I feel like it's even more clear, but I'm always nervous to put too much on home advantage, and I think this Veszprem and Sporting games are clear. I mean, we saw it with PSG and how they were completely turned over by Szeged. The later you go into these competitions, the less that home advantage kind of gives you that massive boost, and can in times be a little bit of stress on them. So I feel like if Sporting can keep that. Because the Sporting and Nantes did play with a lot of kind of nerves and almost not wanting to lose the game rather than win the tie. And you're going to have to go out and win it now in the second leg. And the onus is going to be on Sporting to do that at home. So we will see how they deal with that kind of pressure.
Yes, but you know what? Sporting plays really, really fast, and they have really good backcourt line. And the thing with Nantes is that they're not playing. I think it's really tight game because Nantes is also not playing, German style of defense. Like it's not going to have a lot of breaks and fouls. It's just like pushing out their top scorers to shoot from the outside. But we know that Costa brothers are strongest.
They don't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really interesting. And I just think that those 2 days of games were really beautiful to watch if you're a handball fan.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a couple more beautiful days on the way in the HF Champions League Women quarterfinals.
Yeah.
It's a big day in Hungary on Saturday. FTC at home to Odense. And if you're not listening on Patreon, that is all you're getting from us today. If you want to listen to the full chat with Danijela and hear about this weekend's Champions League Women contests, and you definitely do want to hear about those, then join us on patreon.com/handball hour. Different tiers for you to get involved in, and lots of good stuff to enjoy. Bonus episodes every single week and further coverage as we build up to the business end of this handball season. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you again soon. Have a great weekend and goodbye.